Sorry for technical issue. You might not be seeing my face today, but I think what was much more important is for us to get what we actually want to learn today. So we dive straight to Photoshop. I remember the last time we had our class, we were more or less talking about, it was more or less a short class because of one or two issues that we have starting up that day. So I remember I was breezing through layer mask. So I remember I promised I would start with, um, I'll continue with that and talk about some other things I need to talk about. Um, Today is for event poster design, but basically I'll be touching some basic elements and basic tools that we use in Photoshop that makes this design very very easy for us. And I mean, it helps our creativity. There's really nothing you are thinking about that you won't be able to do if you gain mastery of these tools. So for today, if you are with me, please let me just know in the comment section. I'm seeing your comments. Well done, Ore. Nice seeing you. Nice having you in class today. Seems you are the only one here yet. So um, today we'll, we'll just jump right in. So I remember the last time I was talking about layer style. So let me just talk mainly about this layer panel today. So you see this layer panel is it's a word of its own. I'll be honest with you. Starting now, depending on different things that is on our layer panel. So I will just type light. Light. Let me draw box underneath. A black box underneath. Welcome to Philos. Good to see you. Then we have light. Let me use probably a tall font. Okay, viewers. So we have this. So this is a text, and underneath it we have a shape. Then we have everything arranged on our layer panel. So on the rectangle, you notice that the shape here is a box filled with the color, and for text, for layer, you see the T, which is showing that this is a text layer. This indicates text layer. So if I want to edit my text, I can easily come here, pick my type tool, then edit it to anything I want, or I just come straight to the layer panel and I double click on my glue on the T, then it brings up the glue. Then the same thing for rectangle. If I double click rectangle here, I can easily bring up my my fill color, and I can easily change the color to anything that I want. So let me do something around blue. So I have this like this. So then other thing I wanted to mention the last time is this. Once you double click the other side of the layer, it brings up the layer style. See, this layer style, it's a different, it's a word on its own. It has a whole lot of things embedded in it, such that you can easily manipulate your text and do a whole lot of other things. And the first thing we have here is the bevel and emboss. The bevel and emboss is more or less like we are trying to emulate a 3D effect on a normal flat text, something like this. So we have the inner bevel, we have the outer bevel. So what I will encourage you to do after class is probably sit with this thing and just play with it whatever way you want to do. So I know you will be able to get hang of it, but I will do a quick overview of how these things work and what they mean. So on bevel and emboss, I can easily come to emboss. Now we are not seeing it because it's basically white and probably the depth is not much. I don't know if you are looking at the edge of the glue. Now it's when I zoom in, it's a bit more obvious. You see that everything here, you notice that everything here, is the audio better now? So everything here, there's a glow outside, there's the emboss. So that's, then we have the pillow emboss. So depending on what effects you are looking for, depending on anything you want to achieve, so, and you can easily play around with your depths and all to achieve anything you want to achieve. Then we can do our stroke, emboss, chisel hard, Then you can easily come here, the light direction, you can change the light direction. So there are contours. This determines the way. So for this one to show well, let me just go to outer bevel, reduce the depth, the size, soften. Now you will notice changes in the way the bevel and emboss is happening around it. If thank you, Oluwafemi. You will notice changes in the way the effect is depending on the glass contour that we are picking here. Now, so this is just based on anything you want to achieve, and you can easily come here and click here and do your own contour yourself. You can easily click things around. If you want so many peak here, if you want so many peak, you can easily add points. It's more or less like you are playing with anchor points. Then you can easily adjust things to fit anything you need. So these things actually comes with practice. The more you do it, the better you get at doing it. Hi Motorayo. So that's just the way that is. So I believe, so for bevel and emboss and stroke, then we can use inner bevel. So for this inner bevel to show well, I might need to change the color. So we'll see what I'm I think it's a bit more obvious now that I have this color on bevel and emboss poster designs with more or less like a metallic feel on it. It's either they use this or they use gradient. So for this, let's just go through it together and see how it is done. I can increase my size. I'm so sure you'll have seen this. This thing is common. So let me try something. Let me do Thrones, Game of Thrones. So some movie posters that you've seen before, you will have seen something like this being played out. So I can go to my bevel and emboss. So I'll just increase it. So instead of softening it, you see that we are seeing the hard edges coming out now. So we can do up or down for the way we want the light to come up. So this is how this is achieved. There's really nothing so hard in it. You can easily come here and change the direction of the light. You could see it. So the main thing is, after you've done this, just play around till it fits something that is perfect for what you are doing. Most likely, if I'm doing this, most times when I'm doing design, the light direction is always determined by most likely the background, because the background will always have a way in which you know that, okay, if you look at it overall, it's most likely looking like the light is coming from this particular direction. Mr. Ibrahim, I hope you can hear me now. So the mic is almost in my mouth now, so I believe everybody should be able to hear me now. So basically, you could see the effects. Now, let me beg you, before we continue, caveat, please, all these effects are here not for you to be using it every time, or for you to make it like the main design. These things are actually meant to aid your design. These things are actually meant to give it texture, depth, and uplift it. They are not the main thing. So you won't do design and everything in your design is having bevel and emboss. Like, those things at times are ways to quickly know people that are just seeing the beauty of Photoshop and seeing how things work. So please, I'm begging you. So just to continue, so we can easily say, okay, for bevel and emboss, I'm so sure this thing that we have on screen are things you've seen in some places. So this is how they achieve it. This is how they achieve it. You can use it, play with your color. But you notice it's not coming out well on white. I really don't know. Maybe, okay, so let me do normal, okay, and change it to white. I will still explain blend mode today. I mean, there's really no point in we going ahead and we didn't know what blend mode really means. It's really important we know all those ones. So let me go back. How do I go back to it? Now, anywhere you see this eye, it means visibility. It helps you to toggle visibility in in places. So for bevel and emboss, you see that automatically after adding that layer style to it, it brings out effect. That is, this is all the effects. If I press it like this, you see that the emboss is not there again. If you bring it back, then you can, if we can add multiple effect on it. So the bevel and emboss, the eye beside it is actually for this particular one. So if I blind it, you see automatically the bevel and emboss effect is gone. But if there are other effects, those ones will still be active. So let's go into it and let's see how it is done. So we talk about bevel and emboss. So bevel and emboss. What's this? Photoshop. Okay, good. So we have highlight normal too. This is the shadow, white. For example, I can change this one to something around blue here and change the blend mode to normal. So there's a way it will show. I think it's because we are, let me change it back to multiply white. So this is more or less for this thing too. I guess this is the reason why it's not showing on white color. Let me change this to black or something of sort and go back to change this color to white. Still not showing. Wow, interesting. Bevel and emboss. Normal. So it's the color that I need to manipulate for it to show up. And increasing the opacity. Let me press OK. Increase the opacity so we can see it visibly on how it's showing on white. So basically that's how that one works too. So let's come back to this, go back to that color we are using before, something around this. So we already get that. So this is one. And please, you might not be, because of our time, you might not be able to do it along with me now, but in as much as the moment this class is over, please, I will beg you that you please go over it again and try your hands around it. Actually, there's a false belief we have when we are watching tutorial. There's a way it makes you feel like you already know everything, but please and please and please and please, perfection comes by practice. You get better once you get your hand dirty on the job. So there are times that you will see some how will I put it, maybe nightlife party posters and all, and you will see a whole lot of things. So let me double click this place and I'm back. So what I'm trying to do is I want to delete this bevel and emboss. I want this bevel and emboss just to be for this strand. So I can easily come here and drag this bevel and emboss and drag it on this delete icon. I hope everyone can see it. Once you come under your glue, you will see effects. You can drag your bevel and emboss and drag it on the delete icon, this basket icon on the bottom right part of your screen. So once I drop it there, I can, so it's now an ordinary image now, so I can double click on it. So then we have stroke. So this is stroke. You can increase your stroke. This is your stroke width. You notice the size is 84 and is more or less covering everything around it. So you can come, your stroke can either be center, inside or outside. So as the word said, it's center. That is, if this is your text, the stroke, there will be a part of it inside and a part of it outside. Then inside, all the stroke will be inside. Shall you see, it's filling everything inside because the size is really big. So let me go to like 2. You notice that the stroke is showing inside alone. Let me go outside and outside. Then we have it outside. Then we have the blend modes. I will still explain the blend mode. And you can reduce your stroke opacity to something like this. Overprint. I really don't use this one. So gradient. So this is where you pick what you want to fill your stroke with. Do you want to fill it with gradient or you want to fill it with color? Most times by default it's always on color, something like this. You either have it as white like this. You can change the color. So once you click this dialog box underneath, you can easily change the color. But if you pick gradient, then it will bring you this different set of it will bring this different set of options. So you can click this. These are default listing that I have. You might not have this. This is just things I saved up over time because of over time I discovered that these are the things I work well with. But you have basics. These are default gradients. So I will make sure that I touch how you can easily create your own gradient, which is not hard. Let me just quickly run over that here. You see, this particular colored box here is what we use when we want to create our own gradient mix and the way we want it to feel like. So the underneath part is the color part, and the top part talks about the luminosity, the transparency. So I can easily, once you click one, you can easily go anywhere and create more. So it's telling me that this second one that I create is in the location of 24. I can easily change it to 25 or anywhere I want it to be. And this is the opacity. I can change the opacity to maybe something around 48. And I can come down and fix a color at that point. And fix white or anything I want to fix. Now I'm fixing this color. I want you to keep an eye on the glow, and you will see changes happening on it. So once I click OK, so let me now increase the opacity. You see that the yellow is there, but it's appearing faintly. Let me increase the opacity back to 100. Now you can see the yellow in its full color. So I'm just trying to tell us how these things work. So when you're trying to create or when you're trying to achieve anything, you know what to do per time. So you can easily, you just move to anywhere on the line and create, and you can easily move around those colors and all. You can come here and, okay, at this point I want my color to be back to 100%. So and I want to change this color to something around, obviously we might probably cannot use this kind of coloring in a normal project. So I'm just saying, so we have all things like this. So after you are done, you can easily come here and put it a name, glow gradient. Once you put the name, just press new. Automatically you see that this thing got added. This is the thumbnail for this particular gradient that I've created. Anytime I want to use it, I have to come inside my blue, because it was created while I was inside my blue. I have to come inside my blue and click it. I can easily drag it out and reorder it and place it anywhere I want. Maybe I want to place it at the later end here, so I can easily place it here. So those things are quite important, because most times when you are working, there are some gradients that, okay, probably you are working on a project and the same gradient is something you need to reapply in several other places. So there's no point creating those gradients every time. You can easily save it and reuse it anywhere you want to reuse it. So that being said, you can reverse the colors, which means you rearrange the way the color is being arranged in your color. Then there are styles of gradients. I know most of us that comes from Microsoft, you will have seen something like this, a linear, radial, instead of it going on a radial. So I think this one will be best explained once I start talking about gradient overlay. So let me just jump to gradient overlay for now. So these are gradient overlay. Let me reset alignment, reset to default. So this is what we have by default. Then you can, okay, I said I will explain blend mode later. Then you can easily adjust your opacity here. That is how much of the color you want to be showing through your design. You notice once the opacity is 0, we are seeing what we have originally on the layer. Once the opacity is 0, so that's what the opacity is for, like seeing through. I know we know what opacity means, so there's really no point overflogging that. So let me come here and probably pick this color, violet orange, and I can change the style. Look inside this box here where my hand is hovering. You notice it's linear, so it's more or less like the colors are arranged on top of themselves based on the angle. You know, if you look at the angle, it's 90 degrees, so it's probably coming from top to bottom. So if I change it to 0, you notice that it's flowing from left to right. So that's the work of the angle, and I can easily rotate it like this. And from this gradient, we select the gradient. So if I do radial, you see that the color is moving from circle. It's like circle upon circle is radially connected. So basically that's radial. Angle, so most times you probably pick what works best for you. Then we have reflected, diamond. So basically, here you see diamond. Let me put it to 0. You see the diamond sitting right in the center. So this is diamond. So I can click align with layer. I can use this one to scale the size of gradients. Maybe the way the color is, the way the orange is showing at the edges, without coming inside this place to probably adjust and bring the blue closer to it like this, or maybe even if it's like this, and I want to scale it such the way that the thing will just grow. You will see the effects now. Once I click scale, So you see, it's more or less like increasing. So you see, scaling up and scaling down. Scaling up. Let me use linear gradient. So once I scale up, and if I move my mouse out and I click and drag, okay, it's not working. I don't know why. Most times, okay, it's because align with layer is selected. If I click do not allow with layer, shey you see the way the thing is, because blue is more dominant here. That's why if you look at our image, what we are seeing the most is blue, and this particular gradient is applied in such a way that is overall on the whole layer. So wherever your what's it called, your text is sitting in, that's where the colors will be applied. So let me show you what I mean. You notice the way the color is here is just blue. So let me move it around. You notice that the blue is tending towards orange, and it's not like I'm changing the color. It's because the gradient is not aligning with the text, it's aligning with the whole artboard. So it's like I'm applying the red from here, from the top here to this bottom part. So if I bring it to this point, you see that my text is completely blue now, and I will bring it to this top, it's completely what's it called, it's completely orange. But in my design, this is where my text is meant to be, right here in the center, glowing below the throne. So, and I want to adjust it, so I can easily come here. Since it's not aligned with layer, I can easily, so what I'm doing is simple. I just move my mouse away from the dialog box and click on the layer and start dragging. So automatically you will see it changing color, and if you look at this particular point too, you see the color moving. If I come here too, show you see, I just click out and I start dragging the gradient. So basically, this is one of the tricks that I probably use most of the time to just make sure that, okay, instead of having too much of this color here, I'm able to balance it in such a way it's not too heavy on the orange and on the blue. And so basically, that's that about that. If you are still following me and the thing is still clear, please let me see your response in the comment. I just need to know people are following me and I'm not rushing too much like last time. Thank you. So that's that about gradients. You might be wondering, why are we not just going straight into poster design and just designing? Sincerely, that's the least of our problem. You know, as I said in the first class, there's a place of you knowing your tools and there's a place of you knowing your design. The place of you knowing your design is a year-long process, because you will get to a point and you will see, obviously, that's evolving as a designer. If you by next year sit down and you look at your design this year and you can't see a reasonable difference or growth, it's it's something you just need to keep working on, because over the time you keep seeing designs, you get exposed to designs that are better, and all those things in one way or the other have a way it influences what you see, have a way it influences the way you design actually. So it's very, very important we keep growing and we keep seeing things in a better light and a better way. So thank you, Ayomide. This name, Taiwo, that one is better for me, and Boluwatife, thank you. So let me come back here. So I've been able to, and I can easily rotate it here too, depending on the way I want it, and I can reset back to default. Then it clears every other thing that we've done. And once you press reset back to default, you cannot do Ctrl Z, because I just tried doing it now and there's nothing happening. So I've explained gradient overlay. We've talked about stroke. We talked about stroke and hall too. What's that? Yes. Thank you. Sorry for breaking transmission. I was talking to our project manager. By that face. So let me just continue. Satin. Now, Photoshop is so interesting that there are some tools that it's not like maybe you are not using it, but you probably have other tools that are closer to your hands to probably achieve the same thing. So satin, what does satin mean? It's obvious. Once you click on it, you will see This one still on. So okay, back to class. Sorry. Okay, someone is saying, is there difference between using gradient overlay and applying normal gradients? Gradient overlay can be applied on anything. I mean anything. In as much as is a Photoshop layer, it can be applied to anything. Then normal gradient is just you having your. I really don't know what the normal gradient is meant to be, but basically, this is normal gradient tool. If you are using your gradient tool, it can be used only on a rasterized layer, not on a text. I can still edit this text and give it anything, gradient or something. Let me try and create artboards and put things separately. Sorry, let me just leave it like this. So let me hide this one. So I can easily reduce the tracking here, like this. So I have it like this. So I mean, that's just the advantage of this thing. Gradient overlay can be used on anything. I mean anything. Anything. Let me try and look for one image, and let me just bring in the image. So let me duplicate this image and put it here like this, and apply gradient overlay on it. You know, to bring up that layer style is either with double click here, and you go to your gradient overlay, and you have this effect. So let me click align with layer for this one. So it seems it's working for align with layer because the size is much more. So align with layer. Okay, then bring it under. So we can easily have it this way, any way we want it, anytime. So you see the difference now. So my gradient layer, my gradient tool can only be used on, you notice that it's showing a not allowed cursor, because the image with the place we are trying to apply it on, it's not it's not a rasterized layer. And if I do it, if I click, it will ask me, do I want to the gradient could not use the gradient tool because the smart object is not directly editable. And everything we are doing on this layer now is non-destructive. It's non-destructive. I can still get, putting on and off my effects, I can still get the original image back. But let me do Ctrl J and right click. Let me delete this one that I have up here. Let me just right click and rasterize the layer. Rasterize means we are turning it to a native Photoshop file where we can do anything we want with it without going back or having a change of thought. So if I click and drag on this one now, you see, I could easily have the gradient map, the gradient on my layer. And another best way to achieve this, which is what is part of what I've planned to touch today, is by using our adjustment layer, our adjustment layers, all these things here, they make life easy for us. So once I do this, I can't get the original image back. Imagine I mistakenly save this. Which means my image is gone and is gone. So basically that's the difference between that. So not to waste our time, let me just brush over the rest. So we have a gradient like this. We talk about gradient. Satin is more or less adding a blur of another color inside our text or our layer, anything I'm applying it on top. So let me go back. You notice we have stroke and we have gradient. So if I hide my gradient and back to the original thing, I can easily hide my stroke too. Then we have this. So that's how that one works. So I can double click on the effect, or if I want to edit my stroke, I can easily double click it from here. Then I have this. So I increase my stroke back, anything. So I have it this way. So what else? Let me go to satin. You notice our color is green. So there's a way it blends the green inside, depending on the distance and size. It's more or less like we are applying the green inside. Then if I increase the size, share you see, if I increase the distance, that is distance from the edge, I can easily reduce the opacity. I can change the color to white. So with this, different effects can be achieved. I hope that is clear. Now we can see the kind of things that is achievable or possible from here. So it's most times it's combination of all these things that produce those things that you kind of wonder, and you ask yourself, hey, what do they use again? Are they doing magic in Photoshop? It's nothing. It's just you sitting down playing. Most times, the person that did it is not. It's not like maybe the person have anything in mind like that. It's just him coming here just because after you are done with your design and you really don't want that particular part to be flat or just to look normal. You want it to call attention in a different way from which people have always seen your work before. And please, the key is always make it subtle in such a way that even it is there, people will not really notice. Not that you now do it and I mean, what is that's too much. But if we still have something like this, it's still not too bad. At least it's making it look as though there's a kind of wavy or cloth pattern inside it. So basically that's that. So we can easily do color overlay. If I come to color overlay, the overlay here is what is green, satin is on it, so I can easily hide it. So color overlay, I can easily use white in case I don't want to change my text or I want to put color on anything. I can easily do color overlay. So you see white, go to any color you want. Go to any color you want and pick the color you want. And once you are done, you press OK. You can reduce the opacity. Sure, you see. Once I reduce the opacity, the next thing underneath it is gradient overlay. So all these things are like hierarchy. Your color overlay supersedes your gradient overlay. So it's always good you know which one you need per time, and if you want to mix it, you know how to put your opacity. Sure, you see the opacity is at 38, so we are seeing the blue. So that's why this thing is not appearing full color the way it's meant to, full and vibrant, because it has a mix or tint of that particular color on it. Thank you. So we've done gradient overlay, then there's pattern overlay. In case you have your pattern, there are different patterns here, and if you need more, I think there's a particular site where you can get more Photoshop tools, brushes, pattern and all, where you can easily install. Then you ask yourself, how can I install? And so if you go to Google, you can just do free. Most times the default ones are not okay, and instead of you trying to create it on your own, people have done the hard work and there are free ones online, free Photoshop patterns download. Then once you click, you easily see, you know, the way all these websites are. So if you need anything like this, you can easily download the pattern and use it in your design. So how do you use your pattern? Once you click this G icon, this settings icon, you will see import patterns. Once you click import patterns, it loads up your dialog box and you will navigate to where you download it to. And once you see the PAT file, you click it and you click open, then it automatically loads up inside this place. So these are trees, in case I need anything around these trees. So pattern overlay, change the color to this, to this. So we have it like this. Then it's not showing well. Let me add stroke. So most times, maybe I'm trying to get out. Probably this one is not good. Then let me use something around green for the stroke. So you can just play around things. So depending on what you want to achieve, you know, I've been saying it. All I'm trying to help you do is there's really nothing you want to achieve in Photoshop that you won't be able to achieve after you understood how all this thing works. So that's why I'm taking my time to make sure that you explain how they work. Then we have drop shadow. I think I used drop shadow in our last class when we are creating that art design stuff. My drop shadow might not show well because the color underneath it is dark already, and shadow is meant to show dark, and shadow always comes out well, you know, during the day, That's when you can easily see the shadow of a thing than night, because everywhere is dark already. Bright, like light will just stand alone. So basically, that's what I'm saying. Only if the light is really really great and you're trying to create things. So if I'm trying to use shadow, let me even see if I use white. Okay, so white is looking more or less like outer glow now instead of working as shadow. Now this is not everything we have in our layer style. There are still other things that you can easily come here and add. And what is that? Outer glow, inner shadow. Those ones are not here yet. I really don't know why Photoshop made them an extra effect. So let me I wrote something the other time. Let me just come back to this. And if I want to clear all these effects, how do I do it? How do I clear all the effects? I can come to layer, then go to layer style, then clear layer styles. Clear layer styles. So for example, before I clear this one, I have a new text like this, probably in another font, say our general font, Canton. Thank you, Mr. Ben. Sorry, Ben, I think that's safe. So I can just come here. So it's two ways. It's either I come to layer and click layer style and copy layer style and come on the trunk, right click and paste layer style. Or or I just come here, I do everything here. Layer style, copy layer style, go to where I want to paste it, layer style, and paste layer style. Or I just come here, right click and keep scrolling till it brings me to the layer style section. You see copy layer style, paste layer style, and clear layer style. Once I clear layer style, you see it resets my text back to what I typed originally. So let me do glow. So how do I achieve my glow? Most times, I believe everybody remember when I was explaining what this opacity and fill is used for. I remember when we were talking about shapes, that the opacity dropped the general opacity of the layer. That if you had anything on top of it, it will not show if the opacity is on 0. So let me bring the opacity to 0. It's on 3 now. Let me bring it to 0, and let me now come to layer style and add. So for you to bring up your layer style at times, instead of double clicking here, you can easily come to this FX. This FX in Photoshop means styles. So you see add a layer style. Once you move your mouse on it, it will tell you to add a layer style. The one beside it is layer mask, and the one beside it is adjustment layers. The one beside it is create a new group, create a new layer, then delete. But for now we need the layer style. So I can easily click FX here and go to we want to do color overlay. So color overlay. Now we've added color overlay over it and opacity is on 100, but we are still not seeing anything. So what does that mean? It's because our opacity is on 0. So let me use color overlay and put our color to pink. Is this pink? That color is so confused. We have fuchsia pink. Can you call pink? Anything pink. God will help us. So if I increase the opacity back, you see, I can see my color now. So, but once I bring it down, I can't see anything again. But different from fill, what fill is doing is taking away your fill color. It's taking away your fill color. So let me hide my effect and come to fill. You see, it takes away the original fill color, but if I bring up my effect, the color is still there. So which means the opacity of the layer is, but what the fill is doing is it's taking away the original fill color that we have in our layer. So from here I can easily come to effect and I can click on color overlay and drag it to delete like this. Then it's gone. Double click on this and add stroke. Where's my stroke? Stroke of this color. Then if I want it to glow, let it be inside. You can see the difference between inside and outside now. It's looking a bit more robust here. Then once I put it inside, then start looking thinner. 63 is too much. I want to change it to 3. So Now if I want it to glow, which means which is just straightforward, just add your outer glow and inner glow. So once I add outer glow, you see that it's glowing outside, and once I come here, let me add inner glow. So for the glow to really show, I need to pick colors that are close to the colors of my stroke. So let me come to stroke, this color, and copy the color. Okay, I press Ctrl C. So coming back to outer glow, paste the color, come to inner glow, paste the color, Ctrl V. Now if you are looking closely, you could see the glow around things. Then I can easily go inside my inner glow and increase how it looks. If I want it precise, if I want it softer, I can increase the size to something like this. If I want my glow to be this much, and I can go to my inner glow too. So you do it till it looks right, till it looks perfect. You see, I'm choking it, the size, depending on how much of it I want. So outer glow, so it's because I've duplicated it. So let me clear the layer style, inner glow and shadow, change the stroke, something close to the background. Anything, the way it works. So you get what I'm trying to say. So this is something that is at least glowing. So, and there's one more thing. You can easily come to Windows, and you will see layer style. If you want to see the default styles that came with Photoshop, so you see basic, natural, for something. Then for this, my layer, my glow, I can easily come here. You see this plus icon. If I click plus, it's creating a new style which I can reuse in my Photoshop. Include layer effects, include blending option, add to my current gallery. Add to my current gallery, which means if I install another Photoshop and I logged in, then it will always bring it. It's like saving it to my Adobe account. So then I have this. So if I type any other thing, maybe grow, and I click like this, chasing. So this is what we have. So instead of going through the whole process of glowing it again, if that is agree, if that's allowed, so I can easily have this. But this whole effect on this one, if I want to scale it down without necessarily going inside and touching it one by one, I can easily come to layer style. Then you see scale effects. What degree? Let me just 80. Here you see that the glow of the glow is not as much as the one of glow again. So for it to be very obvious, let me do 20. Here you see now it's more or less like it's gone safe. So 50. So that's how to scale effects. Most times when you are working in a particular document like this and the resolution is way bigger than, maybe you want to transfer the same effect to another document, or you are working with a template and the template more or less looking like as though the size is, so is more or less looking as though your size is different. So that's when you need to scale your effect to fit your own resolution or what you want. Thank you. Okay, so basically that's how that is done too. If I come here, so I've basically talked about inner glow, outer glow, inner shadow, color overlay, and all. So basically I think that's basically everything that has to be touched in our blend layers. So please and please and please and please just make sure you practice this. There's really no this thing too. After this, I think we can easily go to our blend mode. So let me just quickly explain what blend mode means and what it looks like. Let me pick gradient. Let me do from black to white. Okay, so this will help me explain what this does basically. So we are having black to white. Then if you click on normal, there's a normal stuff we have here. It's basically showing all the blend modes that I have in Photoshop. And each of them have what they do. Like if you notice, most times you are noticing like a gray line in between each section, grouping each of those blend mode into sections. So this one at the top, normal, is your normal way in which things are being drawn. Then okay, so far I noticed there's been much emphasis on getting inspiration and all. I believe there's a class that was held on design thinking, right? Manager, there's a class that was held on design thinking where it helps you to brew ideas, go through things. But if that is not clear, on poster design, which is part of what I plan to do today, there are some go-to places for me when I'm trying to work on a poster in which probably I've not worked in that kind of environment before, and I really need to take in. So just to help me visualize how things are done and infuse my own creativity, because there's really nothing that is alone. I remember the first class, nothing stands alone. Things are offsets of what we've seen. If you've seen pro, probably they go to their Photoshop and without looking at anything, they started churning out design. It's because in time past, when they were growing, they've seen a whole lot, such that their archive, their internal memory is full of a whole lot of things, and they can easily spin things around and produce things. And I mean, that's where creativity comes in, when you are able to sift through things that you see based on daily basis. And while growing up as a designer, this is what I do. There's really no design that you cannot learn from it. It's either it's too bad and you try to tell yourself this is how to make it good, or it is already good and you tell yourself what makes this design good or what makes it work. Sure, you get. So from things that makes you work, you tend to learn how things are being done. So that's that about that. We'll probably have 1 more hour for this class. This is 5 o'clock already. Doesn't even look like that. So, but these things I'm explaining are really, really important. Once you understand this one, other things are breeze for us. We can just be doing much of practical in our upcoming classes, where we just probably come, give ourselves brief. Me, I do my own in class, then everybody go home and they do their own, and we are good. So, as I was saying, on our blend modes, so everything here, they are called the blending modes, which means there are ways of blending things in Photoshop, if that's allowed. There are ways of blending things together in Photoshop. So there's normal, there's dissolve. So let me bring in an image just to support this. So if I click on dissolve, this is not so obvious, but you will see like more or less like noise on it. It creates more or less like noise, but most times I personally don't use it. So let me come back here. So I will just give an overview of all these things, the way they were brought up together. So this particular first set, the dark, multiply, color bond, linear bond, and darker color, what they do most times is they remove the brighter part of an image. They remove the brighter part, like the colors that tend to white. I don't know if you get that. The colors that tend to white. We are working on Photoshop. The colors that tend to white have been removed. So to practicalize that, we have our gradient, and underneath the gradient, let me delete this. Underneath the gradient, we have a solid color, which is orange. So we can't see the orange because the gradient is in normal color. So we want to blend the gradient and the orange together. So if I click darken, you notice that all the white part in my gradient is gone, and that place is like is reducing the transparency of those points to 0, and is now showing the color we have underneath. And that's what this thing does. Just that the way they process the other part is just different. So if you notice, if you are looking at our gradients, we can say from this down part is like 100% white, and at this dark part is 0% gray, and in the middle is and at this dark part is 0% white, and the middle is 50% gray. Then if you come on darker, so you see that it's basically removing every white from 0 to 50% gray, and we are retaining 50% gray to full black. So that's how this one we calculate it. Then to other ones, then color burn, so it's more or less increasing, is burning the orange underneath. It's like it's increasing the saturation. You notice that this upper part is a bit more saturated and more intense. Is like it's a bit more intense in color compared to what we have at the down part originally. Then the multiply, it totally removes the white and retain only the black. It totally remove the white and the gray and retains only the black. And the dark, the gray is being calculated and mixed with the color underneath, such that this place is now forming like train or so. So basically what this first portion does is they remove the white portion, and this other part removes the black. I really don't know if you've seen posters when they use lens flare and all. You can easily do lens flare in Photoshop. I think it's under render also. You can easily do lens flare with Photoshop most times. But I'm an advocate of something. Instead of waste your time, it's not like you don't know how to do it. Instead of waste your time on things that have been created already, why not just probably go online, even free resources, even the ones that are paid, just to make life easier for you. I mean, what's the point of, there's a point of originality. I mean, you saying that you create everything you have from beginning to the end on your own, which is good enough. So most times when you search for your lens flare, these are the things you get, and it's always in black and white like this, and you don't need it in that particular format. So let me just show you what I mean by that. What can I do? God. So I already copied my lens flare. I paste it, then I have it like this. Let me put it on top of the God, then it's like this. So once this part, I said they remove the white, but this other part removes the black. So sure you see, once I click lighten things up, I can easily drop the opacity, which is not necessary, or any way I want it. I can reduce the height or anything, so I can achieve anything. Even though the picture I brought in has black on normal, you see the way it's looking, but with the help of my blend mode, I'm able to select this out, and I think lighten work best. It completely removes the black. So basically, so that's how this one works, and every other thing in that particular section here. Then this overlay, there's a way it calculates the gray percentage of it and just mix it like that. Overlay, soft light. So most times when I'm just trying to mix things, I just come here and move things around. Okay, which one works best for the effect I'm trying to achieve as of now. So basically, so this difference works, it works basically based on color, basically based on color. For example, if this one, let me pick complete red, and we know that red is what, 255 red, green is 0, blue is 0. I mean, you look at this RGB color code. Then let me come here and pick blue. Let me let the green to be 0. So this is completely blue. So if I select the true to and do difference, I'm just trying to show you how the algorithm calculates difference. So no matter how I stack them on top of themselves, the difference will still be the same thing. What's this part representing? Let me click outside like this, and this particular color here, we said, so it's more or less bringing the red, green and blue of the one at the top and the red, green and blue of the one at the bottom side by side, and it's calculating the difference between both of them. So the red of this one is, the red itself is 255 red, and the other one is 0. So 255 minus 0 is 255, and you have it here. So which place? This place will be 255. So okay, I know it's here. I want to see if we can get the color. So if we have two, this one is blue, 0, 255 minus 0, so which means our green part will be 0, and both of these places will be 255. You notice that the color we achieve here and the color in between here is still the same thing here, because it's more or less subtracting, like literally subtracting the difference of the color from themselves. That's the word literally means difference of the colors. So that's how we are able to achieve this. So that's what difference is for. So basically all these things, the reason why I'm going into details is most times when you want to achieve something and you know how all this thing works, you can easily get things out. Paint light, sure, you see, it removes the gray part, and retains the darkest part and the lightest part. So that's how all this thing works. Add light. So this one is just messing around with the gray, with the 50% gray. This one is messing around with the total white, this one is messing around with the total black, and this one is messing around with the 50% gray, and it's trying to see how they can welcome Oluwadarasimi. I think you can still go through the video after class. You are not too late like that. Just put your mind at rest and follow through the remainder of the class. So we have it like this. You can reduce the film, then there you have it. So that's the layer layer style. That's the blending option. Then we have the in case anybody wants to ask what font is this is Game of Thrones font. You could see the hole, you could tell that this look like something you've seen before. So talking about event postal design, you see, the headache that come with event poster design at times is, okay, seeing these designs, what do you think works? Like, for example, they gave you a poster, anything, an event, and they said the theme is God is good. I mean, most times we say graphics is communicating an idea visually and making them understand, okay, this is what we are talking about, even without saying this is what we are saying in essence per se like that. Then, okay, they gave you an event and they said the theme is God is good, and right there you were sitting, and let me just throw it open. Let me see our comments in the comment section. Event is tagged God is good. What do you think we can use as an image to depict the goodness of God? I mean, the vast goodness of God in everyone's life. I mean, the vast goodness of God. I'm just saying, obviously, design is thinking and design is objective. We don't approach design the same way. Why? Because not the same thing doesn't appeal to everybody. I believe everybody agree with me. So I'm still waiting for our response. I'm just using this one to evaluate them. So obviously, I don't expect everybody to address to do design is a very intuitive this thing. If you are to write design exam, not everybody will do different things, and that's just the way it is. It's because design is what is subjective. Design is what is subjective. So I'm waiting for our response. Someone said a crusade picture. Someone said cross, you know that person is a Christian. So just imagine it's not a Christian event and the theme is God is good. I'm still here with us, oh. So I'm trying to see what designers saying. Boluwatife said cross, which is good enough. You know, contest has a whole lot to play. Oluwafemi said nature image. I mean, this is the kind of design in which it just depends on where you are standing. Almost anything you use can work. Well, not an accident picture, anyways. Even that, if you are able to just say, you know, design at times is about narrative. Is how you are able to sell it, actually. But that doesn't mean you should now go and be selling rubbish. Waterfalls. I have a lot of senior men here. You know what I did just now on the screen. Let me follow what Ore said. Let me look for waterfalls. If I'm able to get one. Okay, maybe the person is seeing my momentum display here and it's saying waterfall. I cannot laugh. See, beautiful images. Let me just use this. Now, one more thing. When we are selecting image, you know the reason why I click this, to be honest with you, I noticed that this will show the waterfall I want very well, and this dark part is a place where I can easily darken, and my text or my content here will sit on it perfectly. So let me show you what I mean. Let me just right click and copy, come inside Photoshop, Ctrl V, okay. So bringing it up like this. Then bring it under my layers. And God is good. Live on YouTube. So let me do something. Let me blend this down part. Shall you see? So automatically I already know that okay, the waterfall that I want to show is already showing. Then I can easily do things around. Or what I was thinking before, not knowing that the aspect ratio of the image will be another thing to deal with. But if I'm bold enough, I can do it like this. Delete the layer mask, then create a new layer. So there's one other thing that I've not really touched. That's the use of brush and some of those photo editing tools, which is really important. So I will just show one now. Image, I'll be edit, fill, shift F5, and I'll fill it to 50% gray. 50% gray. 50% gray is okay. So, and I will change the blend mode to overlay and come to my dodge and burn here. So always remember, you dodge the highlights, you burn the shadow. Dodge the highlights, you burn the shadow. So if I want the white to pop more, I will dodge it. And if I want the, I'll burn it. I don't know if you see what is happening. So I can still see a bit of detail into what we have underneath. So this is another trick I do. So don't mind me. So I duplicate my image, Ctrl J, Ctrl T, and I'll flip horizontal, and I will attach it edge to edge like this, such that it will not be so obvious. Shall you see? Ctrl J again, Ctrl T, flip horizontal, then bring that one to this second edge here. No, it's not this edge. Flip horizontal again. Something like this, so that you will not really notice, but now we have 3 images. I can easily, so it's looking obvious to us because we are here when the whole thing starts, so that's why. So these blue colors might not work on pure black, so I can change to white or any other bright color that could work on that, and it can still work. All I just need to do is probably create a solid color that covers everything. Right click, solid color, and put it around blue that works on that color, and change the blend mode to overlay, something like this. So from here, what do I need to do? Although my white cannot be, my water cannot be this thing too, click on my layer mask here, select your brush B, increase it, then reduce your opacity to, you see my opacity up here, to maybe something around 13, and do it like this. So not for it to be too bright too. So I can bring in my black back and use it to paint like this. God is good, because why? He makes water available both for the wicked and for the good. I mean, it doesn't discriminate when it rains. It doesn't say because these ones are holy and these ones are righteous, then let rain fall upon their own farmland and their own house alone. So I mean, to everybody, there's that free gift of nature, water, air, and everything. It gives to everybody. So basically, we can easily walk around. You see the image, even though it was limiting, we were able to create something around it. Then this one, if you notice this final edge is giving me one sharp feel. Let me create layer mask on it and reduce this and blend it. Okay, it's on white, blend it like this, blend this one too like this, Ctrl T, right. Now if they leave us with this thing, I'm not saying if they leave me, if they leave us with this thing till it's and one thing I've learned in design over time, I remember when I first started designing, then once I do something and it's looking a bit clean in my eye, my brain will just go and rest. My brain will just go and rest. Why? Because at least now me do this, I don't good oh God. But most times it's not like that. You keep iterating and we keep looking at it. Okay, zoom in, zoom out. Then you notice that this May 22 9 a.m. is too white. This white is too white, so I can easily come here and just along this line start bringing it down till you see that it's still white, but it's not too white again. So that's that. Then probably YouTube will not probably go in blue. Let me try and change it to red. Then if I'm using red, I know I'm introducing a new color entirely, so it's just good I use a lighter shade of the blue that I've been using, just to distinguish it and bring it out separately, so I can easily come up like this on the same line. So, and for contrast purpose, I can easily use semi-bold. So all we are trying to do is just to make sure that everything we have is clean, and I can do God is good like this and bring this one in between them. So different things that we can do, and if we are not careful, we can break our design by trying to do unnecessary finesse that they do not send us. So, but secret to good design is iterations. I'll be honest with you. There are times that it's always good. I always say this. Anytime you want to do any design, it's always good. Think about it, do a whole lot of research and all. But at the end, if by the end, when you think you've done research and you have your direction, the funniest thing is most times, let me download our church or probably our organization, this thing. Maybe we have the church logo. Sorry, I'm using the word church. Yeah, I think because this seems to fit more, then I can bring in our logo, then do color overlay, and probably change it to white. To a reasonable extent, we have what we need. Now, if this one is sitting here alone, there's every tendency nobody will notice it. But because the white is very white, people will notice it. Now, for this kind of design, I really don't want to use full white like that. So what else can I do to probably bring a bit of attention to this side? I can easily create a circle around it just for a bit of distraction. Fill to 0, add stroke. Let me do something of this color, then add outer glow, then inner glow. Then what color am I using? The color of my stroke. You notice that I don't have to just keep explaining the reason why I'm doing some of these things, because I know I've already explained what all these things stand for and what they are. So most likely next time when we have in our class, I will talk more about things we have here. You see filter, that's another cheat code when you are doing your poster design. Things in this filter, that's another cheat code. Things in this filter, this thing. So we do a nature-centered image, but a nature-centered design. Let's try to do the same God is good with probably someone that is happy. New document, 1080 by 1080, create. So within this short time, I know our time is fast spent, but let's try and recreate this same God is good event with someone that is happy. We can easily go to free pick, download image of people that are happy. But I have a bit of resources here explaining, giving us image of people. Sorry, view. Let me use gallery view. Let me use this sister. So now you notice that I didn't proceed with my design arrangement until I probably find an image. Then this image, a whole lot is done already. So using this kind of design, the kind of design that is coming to my head is bold design. Then let's use our Campton bold tracking. Let it be 0 because it will be quite bold. Now, so I was speaking with Dara a few days ago. She's a designer. She comes around, so she's a designer, and we were reviewing some of designs we are seeing on Pinterest together. Now, not to overflow things, we know God is like the major this thing here. So let me change this one to black italic. Then most times I normally have problem picking color, but since I have a color on this madam here, so it's just. And I remember when they were talking about color psychology, they mentioned that red and orange signifies happiness, vibrant, what's it called again, like that. So I think we are not out of place if we still use red. And one thing I know that contrasts well with red is black. So if you are using that, so let me probably use black, and probably a shade of black here. Brown will not go. A shade of black in the gray direction. Hey, someone is asking how we can change image t-shirt. Okay, you want us to do that too, and probably that will affect our design. Okay, it's part of one of the last thing I said I would touch before today's. Is it today? But with the way time is gone like this. It's not showing. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for the distraction. So I want to copy our logo out of here and just bring it here. So instead of using normal A's, let me find probably a cursive font. I'm not sure this is doing justice to it. I think it's safe for me to just use it like this. Then I can easily come. So all I'm trying to do is to make sure that I probably touch what we've touched in class before today. It's touched in class today too. Let me just go to satin. Satin. This is much. I mean, okay, something comes to my mind now. There's something. If I come to gradient, let me try and build up a kind of gradient. So gradient overlay. I'll just do black and white stuff. Let me do black and white like this. So here, let me click this white, click this one here, click this black, click it here, click this black here, click this white here. So I can change the black to something close to gray. So I have like this metallic stuff like this. So here like this, then here like this. So I have something like this. So I can easily press you get what is good for you. For this one, we bring back this. So within how many seconds I can't count. We just keep exploring different layouts, which is intentional. It's just for you to see that at times it's not the moment you sit on design that you probably jump into what you have, and the good design you see outside and you start beating yourself that, ah, God, why can't I do something like this? The person that probably done it, left it, come back to it the following day, and boom, the brain is working faster than yesterday. So don't be hard on yourself if you are trying to work and it seems as though it's not. The only offense, um the only challenge there is when you do it and you didn't wait enough for you till you are made old, like till you get what you really need, like till the thing really fully form in your head, and you just leave it halfway and you believe you've done your best and you leave the headache to your clients. That might not be a good thing to do, but you will always get it if you give it time. Everything is possible with time and enough motivation. What said as in, see, that's designed for you. Every one of us have that time, that phase where we go through. So basically we have this. What else do we have on the design that we've not added? So we probably have the date and the live on YouTube. So how do we add it? Always design will always create shape space for you. Once we come in now, looking at the space on this side, I can easily increase this. I didn't forget the fact that we might still need to change our shirt color. Let me bring this one down. May 22 9 a.m. Let me do it like this. align it to this side and use bold. So let me use Campton. For this space, we might not have the luxury of using off-white. Don't know if you get what I'm saying. So we might have to use our full white. Because of what? Because of contrast. So we have something like this. So we can have live on YouTube, yeah, then live on, then YouTube underneath it. Increase the font a bit. Change the color to fit what we have on our screen now. Live on, let that one be in white. I noticed that May 29, the 9 a.m. is somehow, it seems a bit better now. And I can easily change the color to probably create contrast or something. Then I feel this is okay. Even the live on YouTube, use Campton. Medium, capital letter, align like this. Then increase space, vertical space between them. Clear this space. Ctrl T, bring it down a bit. And you can create shape like this. Ctrl T, warp, rise. This shape goes under everything like this. So this is we just trying to make sure that our design is not just one way, and we are probably using different. So that's me just duplicating the shape and probably changing the color of this other one to something around blue or something. Just trying things. And this white seems to be too white in my eye. And I can use gradient on it to save. Okay. Gradient, normal. Come inside my gradient. I don't think this is necessary. So to a reasonable extent, that's me just exploring other things to see. Then okay, I've not thought of adjustments enough. Then I can easily come to hue and level for contrast sake. I can easily do this. So you see the way our contrast came out. Increase brightness, reduce brightness, increase darkness. Then this is the middle slider, when we can slide within for mid shadows, for mid tones. So I remember someone mentioned, so this one will be like a sneak peek to what our next class will look like. So remember the magic wand tool and everything we taught in our previous classes. Once I select, it's the shirt we want to change from white, even though at times the white is always hard to change the color. It's not a small process, but it will have been easier if you have taught us the filter, displays and all. But I will just do something within the scope of what we've done before. So we have something like this, well selected. So I've selected where we have the white. So I can come to this place, to my this thing, and let me try hue and saturation and see if this will work. Let me do colorize. This is not working too well, but you can see the change in color, lightness. Now the edges are showing. Why? Because I didn't feather the edges after doing my selection. But you see easily we could change the color. Let me change it to something around our green that we've been using in the design. So if I'm saturation should not be that much. You see, easily we've changed the color, just making sure that it's this thing. Then there are times that this blending option makes it sit well. Color luminosity. So let me just return it back to normal. Then we have this color. You see the way our green is showing now. So we've been able to blend the image to fix. So all I just did is, okay, I select hue and saturation after making selection of where I want the cloth to be. Hue and saturation. Then I check colorize. Colorize is that, okay, in this spectrum of color, I want everything I select to calculate based on that color and select what they want. So basically, I will still live. So please, if you are listening, if you are still with me, please let me just see something in the comment section. Like, this thing is freezing. My feedback here, where I'm seeing what is happening in the class. So I was still like, interesting. Okay, so oh, thank you, Jerry. We are still live. So I've been able to change my color to green here. I really don't know why I'm not seeing the feedback, but nevertheless, I believe they are on it. So we have this. So most likely our outer glow here will not be green again. So you notice that from everything we've done today, you could easily spin things around in as much as your understanding of your typography and all. So I will probably show you places I go to when I am trying to gather ideas for what I want to work on. And the stroke, thank you. Bolo Atife, Elizabeth, thank you. You see, then to a reasonable extent, then if I want to do too much, I can easily do like this. Come underneath the ellipse, round the edges for that top part, then change the color, something really dark like this, just to call a bit of attention to that upper part, so it's not just sitting alone. So okay, so to a reasonable extent, not to do too much on the background, not to do too much on the background. Someone is saying I should do Gaussian blur. The main restriction with that is we've not touched some things in this class, and I don't want too much. I'm just seeing this comment too. A young man proposing to his girlfriend. We couldn't have a mix of this scenario to capture God's goodness. My brother. That's awesome. So we should have a young man proposing to his girlfriend. We should just blend in it together. Nice. That's so nice. I mean, this is creative work. This is creativity. Let your mind run as much as possible. Then don't let it run beyond your capacity. So most times when I'm looking for where to start work, I do Pinterest. Shall you see? I mean, you can never get tired of things on Pinterest. You will see and see and see. In as much as you're following good people, you will see a whole lot. We are gradually coming to the end of today's class. I believe we've learned one or two things in today's class. You can check Pinterest, and you can follow people on Instagram. I mean, there are a lot of great designers on Instagram that churn out a whole lot of these things where we can easily learn from online. I mean, people that are teaching in this class, you could easily follow them and see. I mean, even people that are not teaching in this class, check people they follow. You see a whole lot of things that you can easily gain from here. I mean, most times, there are times that once they mention okay, this design you need to do it, and they tell you these and these and things you need to do, immediately you have an idea on what to do. But there are times that you just go blank and you really don't know what to do. I mean, that's why all these sites is there, where you can easily come and see what other people have done, and from there you can easily pick things up, and you know that okay, oh, so like this, like this, like this, like this. There's a way what people have done can inspire our heart too. So Instagram, Pinterest, basically for poster designs, event posters generally. I do Pinterest. I mean, you have more than enough resources, basically. And there are times I will just do a straight Google search on the subject. I'll just come to this place, Google, God is good. And I mean, bam, let's see what it will bring out. So from there, you do images, most likely. Do images. So, um, we have it like this. So you see God is good, God is good. You see this God is good. Creativity just playing out like anything. So I don't say you should come and copy what people have done, but I mean look at their work to get inspired on things, on possibilities of things you can do too. So thanks so much for today's class. I believe we've been able to pick up. Coming back to this one, I noticed that this contrast is bad. This thing is not really light like that. Let me just bring this one up. So this is what happened in design. Even though you are done, you still come back and your eye is telling you and your and your eye is telling you another thing. So basically you can easily do it like this. So thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate. Thanks so much for following the class. I really appreciate everyone that's been commenting since morning. I mean, I'm really glad that okay, you didn't leave me to do it all by myself. Thanks so much. I know some people will still come back later to watch, so sometimes that's the consolation. But thanks so much for your time. I really wish you go back and practice. I mean, let it be my own personal assignment to you. This God is good that we are doing. Just this content. You know, I deliberately didn't do a poster that seems to have like the whole content of everything in this world, because there are times that your clients might be this simple, and there are times your clients might be excessive and complex. So there are times like that. So I just want you to go back on your own, not doing anything related to you. If you are just starting out in design, I mean this like the first class you're having on design, I will advise you replicate things we've done today. Every image I used, you can easily find them on pixels, these pixels, pexels.com, and freepick.com. If you search on freepick, you will see that smiling lady on freepick. Just search happy lady, and you select images out. You should find it. So please, if you are just starting out in design, I will advise you start by replicating what we've done in design. But if you know that okay, you've been doing this design for some times, and what we've done today in class is not something that is hard, you can just try your hands on it and do a completely different design, showcasing okay, this is the direction you are thinking. Then we can easily collaborate and look at it together on our Discord channel. But thanks so much for your time, which I was still live. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate. I really don't take it for granted, and I believe that at the end of everything, everyone will be happy for taking their precious time out to look at these things. I really appreciate it. Till we see again the next class, please watch and subscribe. Um, watch and like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you know anybody that is meant to be following the class and is probably losing faith along the way, please tell them to